We are back with another season of the Fed Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Dan Delatorre, Program Manager at Fed Advantage, where we help federal employees protect their families and future. Today, we're kicking off our new season called Mastering Your Federal Benefits, Step-by-Step Guide. This season will provide federal employees with a comprehensive step-by-step guide to navigating their most essential benefits. Each episode will focus on one major aspect of federal employee benefits, including the Thrift Savings Plan, health insurance, disability insurance, and retirement planning. For our first episode, we'll start with the vital topic for federal employees, the Thrift Savings Plan, or TSP. Whether you're just starting your career or getting ready for retirement, we'll break down everything you need to know how to make the most of your TSP. In today's episode, we'll cover the basics, talk about investment options, how to make your contributions work for you, and some tips for maximizing your retirement savings. So grab a notepad or sit back and relax while we make federal retirement planning a little bit easier. So first up, what exactly is the Thrift Savings Plan? Well, the TSP is a defined contribution retirement plan for federal employees and military personnel. It's similar to a 401k plan in the private sector. You can make contributions from your paycheck, and the government offers a matching contribution on your behalf if you are a FERS employee. We'll go into that in a bit more detail in a little bit. Well, here's why it matters. Your TSP is one of the key components for your Federal Employee Retirement System, or FERS, alongside your FERS pension and Social Security. Together, these create a three-legged stool for your retirement. Now you might be thinking, great, Dan, but why should I care about this now? Well, the earlier you start contributing, the more you can take advantage of compounding interest. Simply put, your money grows faster the longer it's invested. Let's take a real-life example of how early contributions matter. Meet John and Lisa. Both are federal employees who make the same salary of $150,000 a year, and both plan to retire at 65. John is 30 years old and decides to contribute 5% of his salary into his TSP, which the government matches. He gets a return of 5% on his TSP investments. Lisa, however, is 45 years old, and she decides to contribute 10% of her salary with a 5% government match. She has more success with her TSP, and she gets a return of 7%. So at retirement age, 65, who has more money? Lisa, who's putting away 15% of her salary with a 7% return, or John, who's only putting away 10% with a 5% return? At retirement, John would have $1,354,805, while Lisa, she'll have $922,399. By starting early, John benefits from 35 years of compound growth and ends up having $432,406 more than Lisa, even though he invests less money and gets a lower return. This shows how important it is to start early. Even with a small amount, it can make a huge difference in the long run. When setting up your TSP account, you have two options: traditional TSP and Roth TSP. Both allow you to save for retirement, but the key difference lies in how and when you pay taxes. Traditional TSP contributions are made with pre-tax dollars, which means the money goes into your TSP account before taxes are taken out. You'll pay taxes when you withdraw the money in retirement. This is great if you think you'll be in a lower tax bracket during retirement. Roth TSP contributions are made with after-tax dollars, meaning you pay the taxes now. But when you withdraw the money in retirement, it's tax-free. If you expect to be in a higher tax bracket when you retire, this might be the better option. Which one should you choose? That's going to depend on your personal situation. If you expect to be in a lower tax bracket when you retire, the traditional TSP might be more beneficial. On the other hand, if you expect to be in a higher tax bracket in retirement, the Roth TSP might be the better option. And here's a tip. Many federal employees split their contributions between traditional and Roth to hedge against tax rate changes in the future. It's definitely something worth considering. All right, so let's talk about the real meat of the TSP, contributions and matching. As a FERS employee, the federal government offers an incredible benefit, matching contributions on up to 5% of your salary. Here's how it works. The first 1% of your salary is automatically contributed by the government, even if you don't contribute anything yourself. For the next 3%, they match dollar for dollar. That means if you contribute 3%, the government also contributes 3%. For the final 2%, they match at 50 cents on the dollar. If you contribute 5% of your salary, the government will give you a total match of 5%. That is free money for your retirement. But here's the catch. If you don't contribute anything, you're only getting that 1% automatic contribution, which means you're leaving a lot of free money on the table. Now, let's move on to investment options. The TSP offers 5 core funds and several life cycle funds that are based on your target retirement date. The G fund is invested in government securities and is considered the safest. The G fund guarantees that you won't lose any money because it's invested in short-term U.S. Treasury securities. It's great for stability, but the downside is the returns are often lower than inflation. That means while your balance is protected, the purchasing power of your money could decrease over time. The G fund is ideal for those nearing retirement who want to safeguard their investments from market volatility. The F fund is invested in bonds and offers higher returns than the G fund, but with more risk. It tracks the U.S. bond market, and like any bond fund, it can be impacted by interest rate changes. For instance, when the interest rates rise, bond prices typically fall, leading to potential short-term losses. However, over the long term, it tends to provide moderate returns. The C fund follows the S&P 500, which includes large U.S. companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. Historically, the C fund has delivered some of the best long-term returns, but it is more volatile. It's great for younger employees or those with a longer time horizon until retirement, as they can ride out the short-term market fluctuations and capture potential growth. The S fund focuses on smaller companies that are not in the S&P 500. These companies often have more growth potential, but they're also riskier. The S fund can experience significant swings, both up and down, making it ideal for investors with a higher risk tolerance who still have plenty of time before retirement. The I fund invests in international stocks, providing global diversification. While it gives you exposure to markets outside of the US, it also comes with more risks, as international markets are influenced by factors like exchange rates, political instability, and economic conditions. However, investing globally can add balance to your portfolio when the US market is underperforming. Now, let's not forget the life cycle or L funds. These funds are set it and forget it options. They automatically adjust your investments to become more conservative as you get closer to retirement. For example, if you chose the L 2040, it would start off with more aggressive mix of stocks and bonds, but will gradually shift towards safer investments as you near 2040. These funds are great if you want professional management without having to make frequent adjustments. And here's a tip. Diversifying your contributions across several funds can help you balance risk and reward. If you're younger and have time on your side, A mix of the C fund, S fund, and a smaller portion of the G fund could offer growth potential with a safety net. As you get closer to retirement, you can shift more into the G fund or a life cycle fund to protect your savings from market volatility. So let's talk about a couple tips for maximizing your TSP. Our first one here is to start early. Time is your best friend when it comes to retirement savings. Even small contributions early on can grow significantly over time. Our second one is to take full advantage of the 5% match. Always contribute at least 5% to get the full government match. Don't leave free money on the table. Third is to consider Roth for tax-free withdrawals. If you think your tax rate will be higher in retirement, consider making Roth contributions now to enjoy tax-free withdrawals later. Fourth is to revisit your contributions annually. Open season is the perfect time to review your financial situation and adjust your contributions. And finally, educate yourself. Financial education is key to making informed decisions. Subscribe to this podcast, talk to financial advisors, and take time to understand how your TSP is working for you. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes that federal employees make with their TSP. First is not contributing enough. The biggest mistake, not contributing enough to get the full match. It's free money and you're going to miss out on it. Second is failing to rebalance. Many employees set their initial investment allocations and forget all about it. But as your investments grow, your risk tolerance changes. Rebalancing your portfolio regularly ensures that your asset allocation stays aligned with your goals. And finally, taking early withdrawals. Be really careful about pulling money out of your TSP before retirement. Early withdrawals come with heavy penalties and can severely affect your long-term retirement savings. Now, I get a lot of questions from federal employees about their TSP. And today, I'm going to answer a few of the most common ones to help you make the most out of your plan. So what happens to my TSP if I leave federal service? This is a great question. If you leave federal service, you have several options for your TSP. You can leave the money in your TSP account where it will continue to grow tax deferred. Another option is to roll it into an IRA or another employer-sponsored retirement plan like a 401k. This can provide more investment options, but make sure that you consider fees and other factors. Lastly, you can withdraw your TSP funds, but be cautious of taxes and early withdrawal penalties if you're under 59 and a half. Leaving your money in the TSP can often be the simplest and most cost-effective choice. Next question, can I take a loan from my TSP? Yes, you can take a loan from your TSP under certain conditions. The TSP allows you to borrow money from your account through two types of loans, a general purpose loan and a residential loan. The general purpose loan can be used for anything and you have up to 5 years to repay it. The residential loan is for purchasing a home and the repayment period can be up to 15 years. Keep in mind that while you're repaying the loan, that portion of your TSP isn't earning any investment returns. So while a loan can be a helpful resource in emergencies, it's important to consider the long-term impact on your retirement savings. Next question, should I contribute to both the traditional and Roth TSP? This depends on your current and expected future tax situation. With the traditional TSP, you get the tax break now, but you'll pay taxes when you withdraw the money in retirement. The Roth TSP is the opposite. You pay taxes on contributions now, but withdrawals are tax-free in retirement. If you expect to be in a higher tax bracket when you retire, contributing to the Roth TSP might make sense as you're locking in today's tax rates. However, many employees choose to contribute to both traditional and Roth, hedging their bets and diversifying their tax situation in retirement. It's a personal choice, but consulting a financial advisor can help you make the best decision based on your individual circumstances. And our last question here, how often should I rebalance my TSP? Rebalancing your TSP ensures that your asset allocation stays in line with your goals. Over time, as some funds outperform others, your portfolio might become skewed. For example, if the C fund has a particularly strong year, you might end up with a higher percentage of stocks than you intended, increasing your risk exposure. Most financial experts recommend rebalancing your TSP at least once a year. You can do this manually by adjusting your contributions or reallocating your existing funds. If you're using a life cycle fund or L fund, it will automatically rebalance for you, gradually shifting to a more conservative allocation as you approach your target retirement date. Now that we've covered the essentials for the TSP, let's go over a few actionable steps that you can take right after listening to this episode. First is to log into your TSP account. Take a moment to review your current contributions and see if you're contributing at least 5% to get the full government match. If not, consider increasing your contributions today. Check your investment mix. Review your fund allocations and make sure they're aligned with your retirement goals. Are you comfortable with your current level of risk? If not, it might be time to adjust your contributions or rebalance your portfolio. And finally is to set up a reminder to rebalance annually. Mark a date on your calendar to review your TSP at least once a year. This is especially important if you're not using life cycle funds, as it helps ensure your asset allocation stays in line with your goals. That's it for today's episode. Hopefully you now have a better understanding of the Thrift Savings Plan and how to make it work for you in retirement. Remember, the earlier you start, the more you stand to gain. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the Fed Advantage podcast and visit our website at fedadvantage.com for more resources. And hey, if you have questions or topics you'd like to hear me cover, shoot us an email at info@fedadvantage.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep planning for your financial future.